Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Missy. Thanks for joining me again for another video. This one's for the Hip Kit Club, and this is my first layout using the 2015 July kits. And I just had to scrap a pool picture because the papers and embellishments in this kit, or in these kits, just scream summer to me, and I have tons of pool pictures. Those are my favorite pictures to scrap. And so I just went through all the kits and picked out things that I may use. I don't wind up using a lot of them, but I feel like that's how I have to start my process, is just start with my picture and then go through everything and pick out what I think coordinates and matches and kind of goes with what I have in my head for this page. So I like the way the bright colors looked against this light craft cardstock, so I'm going to start with that as my base. And I'm using this Heidi Swap stencil that comes in the color kit, and that's some modeling paste from my stash. And I just wanted to create some texture on the background. I was kind of just experimenting. I really didn't know what my full design was going to look like at all at this point. I just wanted to play around and create a background. And so I just scraped the paste as thin as I could. I didn't want it to be super thick. I just wanted a little bit of texture and a little bit of shape on this background. And I really love this craft. It's light, it's really pretty, and I think all these soft summer colors go well with it. Alright, so I'm going to come in with some white gesso and just scrape it over. And at this point I'm thinking I just kind of want the background to look a little messy, and when I add the color I wanted it to kind of look, you know, kind of like water splashes or just watercolor effect, if that makes any sense. So I didn't want to keep this too boxed in. I wanted it kind of messy. And so I'm taking some teal colored ink spray from my stash. That's some of my shimmers, and it's a really pretty teal color. And I'm just using the smushing technique, if that's what we are calling it nowadays, with the plastic packaging, and then doing lots of splattering. And now I want to try this. This is the beautiful green citron color distress ink that we get in the color kit. It's really electric green. And I wanted to mix in a little bit of that with this teal spray and just see what kind of color I got from it. And again, this is just still experimenting to see what I come up with. There were several times where I thought, I'm going to chunk this in the trash and start over. And then I thought, no, that's not what you do. You keep working with it until it works. So that's what I did. I just kept adding the teal and I kept adding the green, and the color that it made, it's really hard to tell on this camera or on the screen, but in reality it made a really pretty color mix. It toned down the brightness of that citron, and it just really made a pretty mix of color there. I can never get the color to be true on my camera between my lights. And I think I need a different mat. I still have not had any success in finding a neutral color mat. So I think the green of this mat sometimes affects the colors of the things that I'm working with, at least on the camera, from how you see it. Anyway, I'm taking some of this October Afternoon paper, and it's one of my favorite papers in the kit this month, and it's got these chevron, arrows, herringbone, whatever you want to call it, different colors on there, and I'm going to use that as an element in my design with the papers. But before I decide where to put those, I'm going to come back in with some yellow, and I just use some gelatos here to add a little bit of yellow, because there are a lot of yellows in the kits, especially in some of the pattern papers and in some of those chipboard frames that we get from Simple Stories. And I don't want the yellow to be too electric bright, so I do dab it a little bit to fade it away a little bit. And I like the way the background plays with the background of my picture, the color of the water. So I just keep, I'm very random. I come in with some ink, and then I go in with some paper, and I'm all over the place with this. And that's another distress paint. That's what we get in the color kit as well. And I decided to put it aside. It's abandoned coral, and it's a gorgeous color. But once I dabbed it on the plastic and held it up next to my background, I held off on using it because I know if I was to add it right now, it would make a muddy mess. And so I hold off on it and come back in later with that. And now I'm just going to add to my background. I wanted to add some different pops of pattern and color, and so I pulled out that Simple Stories washi paper tape. It's definitely not washi tape. It's paper tape. I don't think it's washi at all. It's more like little pieces of pattern paper. It's really thin. It's just paper tape. And so I'm sure you've seen it by now in the Simple Stories collection, the Summer Vibes. And I just pulled different little strips of it, and I just want some interest in the background there. And so it's not sticking very well, as you can see, and that's because of the mixed media on the background. It's not because the tape itself doesn't stick. It's because my paper isn't completely dry, for one, and when it's really gritty like that, hardly anything sticks to it. You have to really tape it down or stitch it. And I do go back and stitch through all of that here in a minute. So I'm going to add in these little chevron arrows, and at this point I still wasn't sure if I even liked this. I always in my mind want to try something different than what I normally do, and I feel like this one was a little bit different. You know, I still got my mixed media in, and my design I actually wind up turning the 12 by 12 background to the left. I don't even use it. I was thinking of going vertical like this, but I wind up going horizontal, and I like the way it turns out. And I really wanted to use some of these Project Life cards, but I just could not, for the life of me, make them work with the design. And I wanted to use some of these frames, and as you can see, I tried them all one by one, and it just, nothing was looking right. And I'm cutting that sunburst paper as a design, or not a design, as a layer behind my picture, and mainly I cut it in that one spot because I wanted solid yellow to the right of it, if that makes any sense. I wanted some yellow by the picture, and so that's why I cut it in the middle of that paper. And I do use a couple of these Project Life cards as layers. Get a little bit of green there and that really pretty teal. There are a lot of Project Life cards this month, and they are so pretty. That's a crepe paper journey sheet, that red color, and I do add a little bit of that as part of my layers because there is some red. It's more of a reddish pink. It's not fire engine red, but it's not pink. It's sort of in between there. So that's where I did my stitching. I just stitched through all of those pieces of tape and my little arrows there, and that's the design, how I'm going to keep the background. I just flipped it and thought, you know, I like this better than the vertical look. So now I'm going through that chipboard sheet. That's from crepe paper, and I'm going to incorporate this little banner somehow, some way. It just sort of stood out to me for some reason. You know, some days one piece of an embellishment will stand out to you more than others, and then the next day you see another piece and you just feel compelled to use it somehow. I don't know. I just saw that little banner and I thought, you know, I'm going to use that. I've been into banners lately. The last couple pages that I've created have had banners on them. Not necessarily for Hip Kit Club, but for some of my other teams. I don't know. I've just been on a banner kick. And I didn't think I was going to use that little umbrella either, but I love how it turns out, and I think that's the perfect spot for it. And I decide that with all the chipboard that I'm going to be adding in, tucking it in here and there, it was making my picture kind of crooked. Not crooked, but it would be raised up at the corner and then sunk down in the middle. So I added pop dots to it so it was raised up and I could slide in all the chipboard pieces and it would not make the picture go wonky. These are some October Afternoon stickers, and I'm going to pair them up with these craft colored thickers. They're like a chipboard, and I really like the tone-on-tone of those thickers against the craft background. And my title is just going to be Hello, My Little Mermaid, because Paige loves the water, and she had some little mermaids on her little floaty there, so... And I hadn't used this title before. I've run out of ideas for titles for summer pages because I scrapped so many pool pictures, and there's only so many titles that I can come up with that involve the word summer or swimming or splashing. So I thought, oh, I have not used mermaid yet. I am able to pull in this Project Life card. I finally decided to make one work. And so I just tear the bottom of it off and make a little cluster down here under the title. And I do layer in that little frame, and I opened up my Heidi Swap wood veneer that come in one of the kits, and I finally go back to that abandoned coral that I created earlier and wound up not using on the background, and I do use it to color that wood veneer. And it was a little bright, so I go over it with a little bit of gesso just to lighten it up slightly to match that light reddish pink color of the background paper. Doesn't match it perfectly, but I think it looks better since I faded it out a little bit. The only thing about adding gesso to craft cardstock or any colored cardstock is, you know, you can see the white, and I'm still on the fence about whether or not the white smudges bug me or if I'm okay with it. I don't know if I like it or not. The jury is still out. I did some more stitching down there through that Project Life card and that little frame, and now I'm going to just come in with all the little doodads that come in the kits. The puffy stickers from October Afternoon. Ooh, nice hair there. You can tell I made this on a Sunday when my hair was dirty and frizzed out. We had been in the pool earlier that day, and terrible. No one saw me though. I finally got one of the fine line bottles. Thank you to one of my YouTube friends, Sherry. I love that thing. I add in a little bit more chipboard, a couple more puffy stickers, and there are just a lot of fun elements in these kits, and it's so hard to pick out which ones to use. There's so much, and when you first get everything, you lay it all out, and you're in love with every single piece, and then you think, where do I start? I want to use this. Wait, no, I can use that next time. No, but I want to use this. It's really difficult to narrow down which pieces to use because you want to just cram it all on one page. Or at least that's how my brain works. I feel like I'm neglecting pieces when I don't use it on a page. And I know I have more pages to make, so it's all going to work out in the end. But you know how crazy scrapbooker brains work, right? I layer in that other little frame over on the left, and I'm going to stick that little flare button or flare pin on the side. And then that sentiment stamp from October Afternoon also comes in the kits. I love those little sentiment stamps. They're so cute. And the last thing I'm going to do is come in with my journaling, and that's going to wrap it up. I hope you like this. It's kind of different. Shows you how my brain works, how I have one idea in mind for this layout, and then it just completely, I just turned it on its side and redid the whole thing. So who knows? I like the end result. I think it's bright and fun, and I love the summer colors of all these kits. So make sure you visit the Hip Kit Club, and I've got the website down below if you're interested in checking out the kits. Everything is so much fun to play with, and I know you would really enjoy it. So thanks to all my subscribers for watching, and I hope to see you guys again next time. Have a great day.